Welcome to Brickstack Studio. I'm Brent, and we're going to take a look at two cyborgs that I've built over the years and one stone golem. So sit back, and I hope you enjoy.
I'm going to start off with this gentleman. So he is a cyborg. You could also pretend he is in a suit of armor of some sort. But let's take a look at his range of motion. So his arms can go fully above his head. They can go a decent amount backwards. And the only thing stopping his arms from rotating all the way around is some of these items on his shoulders and back, which is perfectly fine. There's plenty of range of motion there. He does have hinges at his elbows, so it can come across his chest there, and you can bring them back both over there. Now they are connected with Technic pins and blocks, bricks, and then on this you can see that he has a bionicle. I believe those used as claws and feet. And then I have two connector pins there that hold those in place. So you got, he's also has some pirate swords here. So he does a lot of stabbing. Let's take those arms off. So we'll get into the legs. So you just have the three Technic connectors here, and they are connected to each other with a long pin through all of those. His legs, I'm pretty happy with. They are on somewhat of these ball joints. It's a Technic ball here with an axle piece going into them. And then you can see the axle or the ball connector down in here. So it gives him a really good range of motion. He can bring his knee up to, I guess, the bottom of his torso. Can't go up to his chest. But he could go in a full seated position. And then his legs can go very far back. He could also bend his knee forward at his kneecap, so maybe you want to pretend he gets injured. Yeah, he's a cyborg, you never know. I don't know how that would be helpful, but oh, and this was the next thing I was going to cover. You see how that fell off there? That is my only gripe about this type of leg style that I'm using, is that it comes off that axle connector pretty easily, since it doesn't have a lot of depth in there, nor does the Technic ball have a lot of grip to it. I thought that would fall off too. So I've been very tempted over the years to just glue those suckers on. I don't like gluing things. But yeah, it's good. You can see that his whole lower body there connects to just a pin. And there, pin goes all the way through to where his head resides. So under here, let's see if I can get it off without pulling his head off. All right. So there's the pin that comes through. It is this round plate is what's connected to it, and then I had to raise it up a round stud there to get the helmet to go on, with making some clearance there. You can see that he has Darth Vader, one of the Darth Vader heads, and I think that's pretty good for this cyborg, that he's definitely battle damaged. And then the helmet that I use is from the UFO line from, I don't know if that was from the late 80s or early 90s, but they're pretty cool. We will change it up a little bit. So you have this rock guy, a rock golem perhaps. I do have what I call cub on the back here. Let's take a look at him real quick. Ooh. So he is part of Wolfpack. He will have the short legs on him, medium legs, and he has one of Catwoman's masks on. I thought, yeah, I know it's cat, but we can pretend it's wolf. He also has these pauldrons on that flex with his body. Those are from Brickforge. You can look those up. I might put a link in the description. Brickforge.com. Not affiliated with them. I will be showing you another piece of theirs later on, but I don't have any affiliation with them whatsoever. Just so happens that I have a couple parts with him. And then he has an Exoforce face under there. He's an angry little guy. But let's get back to the main deal here. So I do have the bigger Technic hinges on this. He really doesn't have hands. He just has big old blocks. And that's great for punching. He doesn't do a lot of fine work. No need for very much motor control in hands. So just good for punching. Let's take off that. Nothing fancy. It's just those block pieces and connect with a connector pin. We'll pull off both his arms. Why not? And there's not much to say about his legs either. They're the same hinges, Technic hinges in there. Nothing really to see too much there. It does connect onto a single Technic connector with the long pin that connects the two. I do have on actually this and the last one where I have some Technic bricks where I don't know if this one's Technic bricks. No, they're not. Where I do have some studs, anti-studs there. So they can actually use those to, if I can do it. Of course, I'll screw it up on camera. There we go. So he can stand. But let's take a look at his lower torso. So there's where you can see that pin that goes all the way through, connecting lower to the upper there. If you've been around a little while, there was some type of games that Lego produced, some kind of board games. I was not into those, but I did go to Bricklink and acquire some of the pieces. So I thought it would be interesting to try to put one of these little guys in here, especially since it was probably a stone golem in the game, I would suspect. But no clever mechanism to get him in and out. You can see in there is some trans orange pieces in there. It's got a single stud that he sits on. And yeah, let's go on to last. All right, kept the strangest for last. So there's a lot to unpack here with tentacles, wings. He is a cyborg and he keeps his head in a jar on his arm. So a little different, but I don't know. He's kind of a mess to hold on to, and if you wanted to play or set him up, you're just going to have to deal with not as much posability and potentially things falling off. Really, the things that fall off the most are back to the legs. He uses the same ball joint that I used on the first one. So those do tend to come off. And with the added weight, with the tentacles here and these back, I don't know what they are. We'll call them blades. Just adds weight pulling on that Technic axle that's holding that all together. So let's see what else I can say about him. He is wearing a helmet from Brickforge. Yeah. So second piece from Brickforge, not affiliated. You can get this like Wolverine type colors, yellow and blue, and then they also had yellow and black. Now I have no idea if they still have those colors or even sell this piece. They sold in a lot of different colors. As far as his range of motion, his arms can only go up this far. Because of the rest of his body, they really don't. I mean, they don't go down very far. There's just too much stuff going on. And then hole, and there goes the leg. And then the back, you have some stuff there. So he's definitely interesting construction. And like I said, he's decent to pose with. He does have some Technic holes down here. So a couple round 1x1 studs there. Or not 1x1. One plate. Round plate. But let's take a look at how he is constructed. All right. So this is like a stripped down version of him. So you can see that there's this connector piece where it accepts the Technic ball. These are, they were mainly used in the Bionicle sets. This one, I believe, comes prior to Bionicle, which I can't remember what they're called. Technic throwers? All it is some of the Technic wheels, 2 of them put together. Let's get that out of the way. It has a pin that goes all the way through the center. It's one of those pins that this is a Technic axle with one stud on the end. Goes through a Technic connector. And then into there. And then I just put a round plate on there to cover up the gray. And then those just go in the axle hole right there and would connect them. And that's where I would bring in one of these pieces, usually used for wheels, and put that in between and have another pin sticking out there. So like if I reverse here, like that. He does, which you really can't see because of everything else that's going on the one we looked at, but he does have a ball down in his midsection. So he does have a decent amount of posability in that aspect. It just has so many other things going on. So I do use this method in some other characters that I have, but this is it stripped down. Now here's one of the other Brickforge helmets or masks that I have. Push that in some more. Now the one thing that besides it not being a Lego piece, another thing, you could do this with Lego helmets of all sorts, is you shove them on here. It does fit. It does take a little pressure. Even the ones that I've done that to work perfectly fine afterwards. But I would say, one, in this case, I'm not even using a Lego part. But even if I was, that is probably not considered Lego legal by jamming that on as far as a building technique.
All right, so that's what we have today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thank you again, and we'll talk soon.